Hello there, TNT Lord here, and today's video is going to be on the plumbing merit badge. Also, if there's background noise or anything, that's because it's the middle of the day. I usually do this at night, and I have to get this video done in about 2 hours, whereas these usually take me on and off working on it for 3 days. So, if it's not very good, that's why. The plumbing merit badge has 8 sets of requirements, and most of them are you have to actually do things. So I don't have to record that or anything like that. So that makes this one a lot quicker. This might be a pretty short video, hopefully. Also, most of the background will just be me playing Eve when I don't have images because I have nothing else to put there. The first set of requirements is requirement 1, do the following, and it has 3 sub-requirements. A, describe how a properly working plumbing system protects our family's health and safety. B, list 5 important local health regulations related to plumbing and tell how they protect health and safety. C, describe how safety precautions you must take when making plumbing repairs. So for requirement 1, basically a properly working plumbing system carries away feces, urine, which could cause diseases and stuff, and it would also be very unpleasant. And a properly working plumbing system also prevents sewer gas from entering the home or wherever the plumbing's for. Now the next one with list 5 important health regulations related to plumbing, that one. I found 5 of them, but you could find your own if you wanted. All drains are required to have a P-trap to keep sewer gas out. I'll explain what a P-trap is in another requirement. Vents are required to keep the P-trap from being siphoned. Where potable, which means drinking water basically, water will enter a source of contamination such as outside, dentist office, doctor's office, machinery, an approval check backflow preventer must be installed. A commercial sink drain must terminate 1 inch above the floor drain in which it's discharged into. And last, a temperature and pressure relief valve must be installed on a hot water heater to prevent excess pressure buildup and an explosion, or maybe an explosion. So the next one, which is the safety precautions you've got to take when making home or plumbing repairs. There are probably a lot of things I'm missing here, but the ones I know of are when you're opening, for example, when you're opening a drain, like in a basement or something, if it's clogged, you should be careful because there might be high pressure behind it. Of course, wear glasses, gloves, and if need be, like you're sanding it something or using chemicals, you might want to wear a mask. Make sure to shut off the water, all those sort of things. Requirement 2 has 2 parts. A, make a drawing and explain how a home hot and cold water supply system works. Tell how to make it safe from freezing. And B, make a drawing and explain the drainage system of the plumbing in a house. Show and explain the use of drains and vents. So for their first requirement, which is the make a drawing and explain how hot and cold water system works, I don't have the time to make a drawing right now, so I'm going to see one off online. Thank you whoever made this one, and you'll be able to see in the background here. Most houses, like in the city, have a water meter, or whatever it's called. My house has a well, because we're in the middle of nowhere. The cold water is usually taken directly from the city's water line, or from your well, and it's ready to use at that point. However, the hot water supply needs to go through a water heater. Now, there are different types of these, but the normal one's just like a big tank with heating elements in it. They can be set to different temperatures. They're usually set to between 140 degrees Fahrenheit and 160, but sometimes they're as low as 120, which is usually adequate, and it also saves energy. Some dishwashers require higher temperature, and they have water heaters inside of them. So most houses can have pretty low water temperatures. Now B, make a drawing and explain the drainage system of a house. Again, I didn't have time to draw something myself, so I stole somebody else's off the internet. You can't do this, it says you have to draw one, but I don't have time to do that right now, so thank you to whoever made this one as well. So after it's gone out of the P-trap in the sink, or it has to be at a certain slope when it comes out of the toilet, otherwise the solids won't, if it's too steep, solids won't go down with the water, and if it's not steep enough, nothing will go down, so it has to be at a certain angle. I think this angle depends on the house or how far the pipe is. I don't know the exact thing. After it's gone through that, though, it goes down the pipe to a sewage cleanout, which then it goes either into the city sewers or into a septic tank, or in some certain very illegal cases, out onto a hill facing the Ohio River. Now, vents are a major component in the house's drainage system. It allows water to pass out of the drains easily, because whenever water leaves, something needs to replace it. So the air to replace it comes in through the vents. Vents also can vent sewer gas out there, usually sticking out of the roof. Have you ever seen houses with like a little pipe sticking out of the roof? That's what a vent is. Now, it's about time I explain a P-trap, because I've said it multiple times. If you look under your sink, there'll be this thing that's in the background. It's basically used because water will stay in the bottom of it. So it stops sewer gas from coming up through your sink, and it can also catch crap that you let fall down your drain. So if you've ever dropped like a ring or something down the drain and opened this up to get it out, yeah, that's a P-trap. Now, the next requirement is show how to use 5 important plumber's tools. Now, I don't have a good camera or the time to do this, so I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to explain 5 of them. But there are a lot of tools, so I suggest you look some up and see if you can find any of them in your house or your shed or whatever. So, I think a plunger counts. It's very important, and it's way easier to just use a plunger than open up the whole pipe and everything. This is usually the most important tool. Your sink's clogged, it's usually easier to just take a plunger and use it on your sink than anything else. A hacksaw. Hacksaws are really useful because they can cut metal and plastic pipes. There's an image of one in the background just in case you don't know what they look like. They aren't really good for cutting normal things. It's only pipes that they're really good at. Next is a propane torch. This can be incredibly useful, especially for soldering copper pipes. But also, plastic's more flexible when it's warm, so you can also use it if you have a piece of pipe that you need to get together that's really hard. You can heat it up, melt it a little bit, and it'll be way quicker. An adjustable wrench or crescent wrench. This can be very useful because you don't have to carry around 50 different types of wrenches. You can just bring one. Also, Allen wrenches and screwdrivers can be very useful. A lot of handles on faucets, showers, and valves and stuff like that have Allen screws. Sometimes hex screws, but oftentimes Allen. And screwdrivers, you have to take a bunch of screws out when you're working with anything that has to do with plumbing, so I suggest you have that too. Requirement number 4 is identify and describe the use of each of the following: washer, retaining nut, plunger, apparently it's also called a rubber force cap, solder, flux, elbow, T, nipple, coupling, plug, union, trap, drain pipe, and water meter. A washer is a flat donut-shaped piece of metal, ceramic, or plastic. It's used to seal things. For example, a rubber one can be squished to create a very good seal. A retaining nut is this. It's used on the water that's coming into like your faucet and your toilet, I believe. Go and look down there, you can see them. And a plunger, everyone knows what a plunger is. On to the next ones. Solder is a very low melting point alloy, usually based off of lead and tin, but sometimes silver and brass. You like heat up a pipe and put it on it, and it'll melt, and it basically sticks the pipes together. And flux is put on the metal while you're soldering, which prevents oxides from forming due to the high heat when you're soldering. Most solder, though, has flux in it these days, so you usually don't have to worry about this. But make sure you check before you try. A T is where 3 pieces of pipe meet, and an elbow is a turn, usually 90 degrees, but they're also like 45-degree T's and other pieces of pipe. It's basically a piece of pipe that is used for a corner. A nipple is a short piece of pipe used to connect two other pieces, and it has threads on the outside. A coupling is a short piece of pipe, except just like a nipple, except it has the threads on the inside. A plug is pretty much exactly what its name suggests. It plugs the pipe. And a union is where two pipes are connected, usually by a third piece of pipe, like a nipple or a coupling. And then we have 2 more left, a drain pipe and a water meter. A drain pipe is a pipe carrying water away from a building, and a water meter is a meter that measures the flow of water coming in through a pipe. Requirement number 5 is name the kinds of pipes that are used most often in plumbing systems. Explain why these pipes are used. Copper pipes don't leak, or usually don't leak. They're also very heat tolerant, have long lifespans, and can be recycled. But they also cost a lot, like 100 feet of copper pipe can be about $280. It's ridiculous. Galvanized steel is very rarely used anymore. It's very heavy, making it difficult to work with, can rust in the inside. I mean, every time after our pipes freeze in the winter, you get like a heap of rust that comes out. Generally, they aren't used anymore. And if people put in new pipes in their homes, they put something else in to replace them. And then we got PVC. It doesn't rust, corrode, or degrade in any way over time. Is often used for the main supply line into your home. Great for carrying high water pressure. Inexpensive, and it's really easy to work with. You can't use hot water though. You'll warp when exposed to hot water. PVC are very good for drinking water. They're easy to work with, can be used for cold and hot water supply, and are more flexible than PVC. But they will split if it freezes and cannot be recycled. Plex pipes are also pretty easy to use. They can be bent and snake through walls or holes in the ground very easily. Can be used for hot and cold water supply and are very heat resistant. People do say they might contaminate drinking water, but it has been approved for usage in the US. And I mean, I put one in on a hydrant that I had to move, and it's like they can bend all over the place. They're really easy to use. Now I think there are more, but these are all the ones I know. Now the rest of these requirements you kind of have to do on your own. Requirement 6 is cut, thread, and connect 2 pieces of metal pipe. This one you have to do on your own. Number 7, under supervision of a knowledgeable adult, solder 3 copper tube connections using a gas torch. Include 1 T, 2 straight pieces, and 1 coupling. This is pretty easy to do. I mean, I've done it just fixing broken pipes around the place. It's really easy. And the last requirement, number 8, is do the following: replace a washer and a faucet, or clean out a sink or lavatory trap. Clean out a trap is the easiest in my opinion, and so all the rest of these you have to do on your own, and I can't really help you with. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.